Hi and welcome to this slightly longer session of MDriven. What I really want to do here is to end up in a position where I can do some cool JavaScript and Angular things, but I need an example to show the abilities. So what I thought of was a movie theater. You know, everyone can relate to a theater that runs shows. And the show, of course, consists of a movie. And if we just could get this information in place, I guess I would like to show you how to do a seat reservation thing. The seat reservation problem is quite common, and of course we need the seats. The seats are part of the theater, but also available for a specific show, and the show has multiple seats, and the seat has multiple shows as well. So I will call this link object for show seat. Maybe I should have called it ticket. I'm going to add a state machine to the ticket or the show seat, stating if it's free or not. We also need a user that actually gonna reserve the tickets. So what I'm gonna model is also a seat request. And the seat request also needs a state diagram for so that we could process the seat request on the server. I want to do it on the server to make sure that we don't get any overbookings or two people reserve the same seat. So a simple state machine that one of the states request process is actually going to be executed on the server. And that could end up in granted or declined. So I'm going to drag out the state machine so I have it in view here. And also that state machine. I'm going to clean that up. Like that. I'm going to make the one that's executed on the server red, so I know that's special. For me at least. Something like that. And also when I have information like this, I usually want to color it. And how I think when I color it is, I guess it's more of if they belong together or if they have the same lifespan. So theater and seat are quite stationary, but show and show seat are not as stationary as theater and seat. Movie is something different again from the other two aspects, and seat request is also different. So I try to keep this theme when I'm setting colors to my model. It helps the eye to know what goes together and how things match up. I'm gonna add a new diagram to actually detail the definitions of the stuff that I need to get started, really. I need theaters, I need shows and movies and things like that. And maybe you, as if you're a developer, you know how much work this normally is to just get in a position where you can actually start doing the cool stuff that's requested of you. But With MDriven, we try to minimize it. It won't go away because it's complex. It's always a lot of details when managing information, more than anyone really care to think about. But MDriven keeps track of it all to make you efficient. View models, of course. There's quite a few simple view models that needs to be in place to manage the basic data that we need to have, and also the actions to bring those view models up. I need to manage the theaters. I need to be able to create a theater and name it and things like that. And the shows, of course, need to manage those as well. So in the end, I want it to be a small application where all this basic data that we need is managed by the generated view model UI. But the things that's actually going to meet the user in the end should be we should spend a little more time on that and do that by hand, so to speak. Of course, whenever you start a new project, you go through a process of learning the data you need, and at least for me, it's always that I think it's not a big problem in this beginning, and as I start to work on it and fold it out for myself, it always tend to be a lot more things that came to mind from the start. And of course, this is both good and bad. I need to do this to be in a position to actually deliver what the client wants. The problem is that I probably didn't explain thoroughly enough to the client how much work it would be. Luckily, when I have MDriven as my tool, it's still manageable. I just go through the motions and do these things. Okay, here I found something. When I submitted it to the server, it said it was an SQL error. I had an attribute called row, and that was apparently a reserved word in SQL Server. So I changed that attribute and submitted it. So now I'm running my application and registering as a new user and starting up my UI, creating a theater 1. I'm gonna call that Rigoletto. That's one here in Stockholm. I'm gonna call the other one for Sergel. That's another one in Stockholm. And manage movies. Need to create some movies. Die Hard, of course. It's always Die Hard. And another movie, The Martian. I saw this yesterday. It was really good. I recommend it. Anyway, all right. So we have theaters and movies. And what about shows? Okay, we're gonna set up shows for The Martian today and another one for Die Hard for today on the Rigoletto theater. But what about, we didn't see the movie image when we created the show, so I want to see the image. gonna make that read-only and uploading the model again. So this is really the loop that I go through when I develop, over and over, back and forth between running the application and changing the model. Of course, I could be smarter and think ahead a lot and do all the things I need up front. But that's not me. I don't know if it's you. It's okay if it's you. You can do it that way. It's a mix, I guess. Some things is quite hard to see unless you're up close and actually suffering from the lack of definition or the lack of data. And so here I create some seats as well. And of course this is boring as hell, but it's done once per theater. These are the seats that define what's possible for the theater. I'm going to just do 2 rows with 4 seats in each. All right, like that. So that's the show seat that we need to create now. I'm gonna add a method on show to create the show seats, and I'm gonna grab all the seats from the theater and collect over those. And for the collection, I'm gonna follow the cell from seat. I'm gonna add each seat from the theater, and that will create a show seat for me. Okay, so now I have the method. Now I need to call that method in the view model that manage the shows, I guess. And the method is there, no problem. Okay, I'm gonna name it to create show seats. I guess I should have called it ticket, but hey, version 2, right? And gonna show the show seats, if there are any. By the way, I'm using the new microphone that I bought just for these occasions, so I hope you appreciate the sound. And I'm gonna show the state and the row. The state is, you remember, if it's free or not. Like that. So upload model and head back to application and manage shows. So create show seats. Okay, there we have the seats, and all seats are free. All right, I created both for the Martian and for Die Hard. Now the seat request. Let's create another diagram to detail things there. We have the sys user, of course, the logged in user, and that user buys a couple of tickets, show seats, and could be many, of course. And we have the state machine. What I want to do now is a buy ticket view, and this is actually the one that we're gonna replace later on, but we're not there yet. We need to figure out what data it contains first. And this is really one of the great things, being able to declaratively just move ahead to get all data out there to see if our thoughts are clear, if we are done with the model or not. It's much better to find out limitations in our model at this stage than later on when we have loads of runtime checked JavaScript in the browser somewhere. So thinking this through isn't that hard. By ticket we need to see the time the tickets are for, the theater and the movie. So I know where to go, what to see, and when to be there. That's important information for the guy buying the tickets. I'm gonna add the movie image as well, just because I can. And let's list all the seats. And that's a link object, and we follow the inner links to seat row. So now we have a list of all the available seats. Free or not, we don't really care at this point. We show all seats. Okay, gonna do another view model just to browse the shows so that we get a way in to get to the buy ticket. And just as before, going through the motions, finding simple expressions to show me what I need. Adding a view, an action to bring this view model up. And just verifying that we have success. I can select the seats and clear them, and then I can submit request. And the submit request, what should happen then? Well, that's the server-side action I have been talking about. So, new diagram for this, the seat request. We're gonna create a new view model, server-side check request. And we're gonna make available for server-side execute. Seat request all instances, where state is request process every 5 seconds. Every 5 seconds this will execute, and execute what? All the actions in the view model. Take the seats in this case. What it does is check if all the seats are free. It sets the state to sold. And this is all gonna pan out like this. I find a show I want to see. I find seats I want to use. Of course, there's no multi-select. I always forget. And I add the tickets. These are the ones I want. Then I tell the system I'm done selecting. And the system process server side to avoid collisions. And it says you got tickets. And the tickets has been updated to sold and my name is on them. Great. That's the server side view model action for you. So this is the data that we're gonna replace with a new view. It's getting rather late and this video has run for 20 minutes. Thank you very much for following this so far, and I'll be back with a take on the view that does this in a better way than just lists and checkboxes. Okay, thank you very much. Till next time.